Well, some of you may be noticing a few delays and a few strange things happening this morning because I'm using a new version of YouTube. And every step of the way has been another discovery. So, welcome here this morning. And in our usual fashion, I want to introduce those of us who are in our green room, our panel. So this morning we have David Flannery, who is in Illinois, and he creates affordable websites for small business. And we have Fred Jones, who's going to be our speaker this morning. He's in BC temporarily, I guess, for the time being. And he facilitates leadership and community building for youth. And we have Vivek Rao, who is in the UK, and he simplifies life and business by unifying different technologies and developing software. And I guess I will introduce myself as well. I'm Lowen Fuglsang, and I'm in British Columbia as well. And I coach retirees who want to create an online business. So I'm hoping that I have everybody. And I was a little concerned this morning as to whether the email went out properly. For some reason or other, I got an error message when I was setting up. So I know some of us got the email, but I wonder if everyone got it. So here we are. To talk about, well, we knew that Fred was away for a while and that he was going to a major conference in Portugal, that he kind of got this invitation kind of out of the blue, wasn't it, Fred?
I can explain, sort of.
Sort of out of the blue. And so we made the plan right before he went that we really wanted to hear a whole lot more about it. So that's what we're going to discuss this morning. So, well, tell us what how you got the invitation to begin with.
All right. Thanks, Leanne. What happened is I promote programs with young people, and I've been doing that for many years in different organizations. And I've been following this organization called Agora Speakers International. It's been going for 3 years. And I will share my screen because I've got the agenda of that. And I think when I explain,
Mm.
so let me just see if I can say share. And I think this will help give some of the background and make it a slideshow so that we're, all right. Are you seeing the agenda?
Um, it says First Agora Speakers International Convention.
That's right. Okay. So
Yeah,
that was sort of the
that was the
um,
poster.
yes. Well, it is inside, and I'll show you the second page of the inside.
Mm.
Now, this is the very first international convention that Agora's had. I noticed earlier this year that they are working with youth, but I didn't know to what extent. I met online this fella. Whoops, that wasn't supposed to change. Sorry. Let's see if I can go back. Maybe this will let me. Yes. Um, this particular fella here, Alexander Histrov, is the founder of Agora. I had a discussion with him earlier this year, And he was very interested in what I'm doing with youth because they're very interested in working with youth. So that at that time, then I said, well, you're having an international convention. I think I'd like to attend, and that was it. I got put on the agenda. Now, as you notice, it was on September the 21st. And as I say, you notice, maybe you'll see here, that was a Saturday and that was the Sunday. So it was a 2-day convention in Lisbon. And I managed to get on the agenda, and I'll show you where I'm on the agenda when I get to the next page. But I just want to explain a little bit of background. I believe, even as a solopreneur, when you find a particular audience, and I thought this was my audience, it is very key, if you can, meet these people face to face. Even if it's just once in your time, because now I've got contacts. I don't probably have to meet them ever again face to face, because they now know me, I know them, and we can continue. So this was important. I also explained that I live on a very limited budget. This cost me probably a couple thousand Canadian dollars. Is it worth it? Yes. I discovered this when I went to another convention 2 years ago in 2017. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and that convention I learned that I am on the right track with working with young people. It was called the National Leadership Forum in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I learned it was good to make contacts. I also learned some things that I wanted to avoid. For example, we in Atlanta, Georgia, sat around the table and said, oh, we should keep in contact. And one lady took the lead. Well, that lady never did anything with that. I kept nagging her. I said, are we going to ever have any online sessions? It didn't happen. So I'll explain to you what I did this time to make it happen. Because it's important. You get good contacts, but if you don't do anything with them, that could be a waste of time, effort, and money. So that's sort of the background of why I went. Now, I got on the agenda, and if we look at this particular session where I'm highlighting, Fred Jones is talking from Canada. He's going to talk about changing leadership. That was why I was one of the presenters, and also that was on the Saturday. And then on the Sunday, there was a debate about youth school programs. And you'll notice that Fred Jones is also on that panel. So I was on the agenda twice. It worked out very well for me because I got on the agenda, or I got on the program without on the agenda a third time, because some of these people could not make it. And when I say some, for example, Nepal, this person from Nepal, they could not get visas. Third world countries, European Union did not let some people come in. And so there was an individual from Ghana as well who was coming from Africa, could not get a visa. So that was a challenge, even though they sent documentations about the convention and so on. And that gave an opening. So you try and be helpful, you try and be flexible. And I did laughter yoga.
Did
they
you?
said, oh, we have an opening. And I said, oh, I can do something to fill in, and it's fun. So I did laughter yoga. So I'll show you what I did. So I had 3 times I was on the stage, which was very helpful because I got to meet some people. You'll notice this person was X'd out because I believe I can't remember where he was from, but he could not get a visa either. So there was a challenge. So these were the people who were on the stage, and you'll notice a guy with a red hat and a red shirt in the back here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So those were the people who attended. They were mainly from Europe. These people were from Spain and Portugal and the UK. I was the only person from Canada. Whoops, it's not supposed to be changing yet. So there wasn't a large community. Somehow this decides it's going to change on its own. But those were the main attendees. There was people from Japan, from India, and what they arranged, it was very interesting. They had a lot of breaks, and we had people who were doing Spanish dancing, even though this was in Portugal. And they even entertained us at uh, during lunch because we had lunches as well. And they came in, and I'll show you a picture of that. I'll also show you. This was my uh, presentation, the first one about leadership. And here it was who I felt that I had a message that really resonated with this audience. It's always important when you talk to people. Well, who's in the audience? What are their interests? Uh, and I think it resonated very well. I took my hat off, as you see. I put it on the chair. That was the man. I'll just mention this is Gonzalo. He was one of the organizers. Sorry, my computer is extremely sensitive. So that was him introducing me. I put my hat on, and then I spoke about leadership. There you could see I was very, I don't know, very something, expressive maybe.
Hmm.
Also during lunch, for example, the Spanish dancers came into the room where we were eating lunch and entertained us. We also had young people, which I thought was worth the $2,000 that I attended. These young people were outstanding. They have gone on to win prizes in Europe recently, just in the last month, and they sang and they, um, to a certain extent, danced, but mainly sang, and it was wonderful. They were outstanding. No wonder they won awards. I think it was in Poland or somewhere recently. They attended, and they're known as talents without borders. They're sort of from different countries as well, and that's them again presenting. So we had presentations, and this was the panel discussion on the Saturday. And you'll notice I got the opportunity. They came to me after and said, "Would you monitor the panel discussion?" Which was a wonderful privilege for me because they said, "Would you?" And these were the people on the panel discussion. This fellow was from Portugal, as these two ladies were, Sonia and Alexander. Angel, which is spelled angel, by the way, whoops, but pronounced Angel. And Angel, this individual here, was from Spain, but he's done work with youth in Sierra Leone in Africa. This is Alexander Histroff, who is the founder of Agora Speakers. And this is Coca. Oh, why does it want to? I'm just trying to change where my cursor is and it wants to say I want to change it. And this is Coca from India. And I mention this because I am now running a monthly meeting, and I ran the first monthly meeting Sunday before last. And um, Sonia, Alexandra, Angel couldn't make it. Alexander Histroff, Coca, and two others, one fellow from Nepal and another fellow from Japan, were online in a Zoom meeting with me. And this is what I said did not happen when I went in June of 2017. We're now doing follow-ups, and this is something I learned. And I now send them a regular email once a week, and I use photographs, and I'll explain why I do photographs, because it builds community. It's something, especially on international. So that's when I've taken these people from the panel discussion and I've now made it an online community. And some of the things I've learned by attending your Tuesday sessions, I'm utilizing here. For example, I gave the first presentation just on material that I have, and I've uploaded it to a forum. Next session is going to be by the fellow from Nepal. He's going to give his presentation on what they're doing with youth in Nepal. So every time we have a meeting, once a month, I'll have someone else present, as you have now. You're having me present, etc. And next time it'll be someone else. So that is something I learned here that I'm utilizing there. And it's important to have this ongoing conversation because all the contacts I've made. So this is something I learned that did not happen when I went to Atlanta. It is now happening since I went to Lisbon, and I've already scheduled the next meeting. The only thing is I will be in Australia, so it'll be a different time of day. But it'll be the third It's now the third Sunday of every month is when we have these sessions.
And Fred, the consistency is probably one of the most important things.
Yes. And David, you have your hand up.
What languages were they speaking?
Almost English, almost everyone in English, even though it was an English program, even though they struggled in some cases.
Yeah.
But it was very wonderful how they did it in English. This was laughter yoga. I was on stage doing laughter yoga. You can see some of them doing it. Just get them out of their seats and moving around. It went very well. So, and this I showed you is Ravi. He's very interesting man. He's from Nepal. He was on my session on the last Sunday, and he's presenting next week what they're doing with youth in Nepal. He has been in the school system for a couple decades. He was a vice principal. He now runs his own computer company. But he says by next year, they will have 200 youth clubs in Nepal, in the schools. And I believe him.
Mm.
Because this man, after meeting and chatting to him, he's just an amazing man. Just what he's done and accomplished in his life. And if he says he's going to have 200 youth clubs, he will have 200. That's what he's going to talk about. The other gentleman, this is Alexander Histroff, the founder. And these are some pictures. There's Alexander and myself. There's Alexander gave me a certificate for presenting. And I'll mention George. George is one of the others. I mentioned two people from Portugal. These were the two individuals who organized this convention. So he was the main organizer, George, and the other was Gonzalo, who I showed you, who was introducing. And the reason I mentioned that is, so those three individuals were key to this convention. And after, on the Monday, I was still there, Gonzalo and George, there's Gonzalo and there's George, said to me, "What are you doing on Monday?" And I said, "No, I got things to catch up on." They said, "We'll take you to lunch." So I felt very honored and very privileged that they, for example, it's like a 40-minute drive to come in from where Gonzalo is, to come and take me to lunch. And it was wonderful. So I felt very privileged and very honored. So I made some wonderful contacts, is what I'm saying. And I show this picture again because these individuals who are on the stage are still now in contact with me. And next year, it's going to be in Kathmandu in Nepal. And I'll be there. I'm planning to be there. And that's because Ravi and what's going on in Nepal is just outstanding, what they're doing with young people in the school system. So some of the lessons I learned, I took an autograph book. I took a book that my daughter gave me, this book, and I had them write comments and autograph. So this is a great memento. So this was something that I contacted with them. So there's something I learned that I would suggest if you ever make contacts, do something like this, because I have some wonderful comments and some memories from the people. The other thing,
Fred, I got to stop you for a minute. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, the autograph book, that goes back a long, long way.
Yes, but it is, I've got Alexander Histroff saying some outstanding comments. I have the people who are on stage with me and other people about my speech and everything. So this, I was the only one doing this, but my daughter, when I was, brought me this book because I wrote, but it's just a blank book. And I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do with this book. This was when I was in California. She gave this to me on my birthday. And I said, this, I know exactly. That's what prompted this. And I also made my notes during the presentations in the back of the book and in the front. So this, I'm taking this book to Kathmandu again.
Fred, may I stop you and share a memory about autograph books?
Yes, by all means. As long as we have time.
Yeah, we have time. I had an old I got an autograph book for Christmas. It had a lovely leather binding on the outside, and I asked my father to write the first autograph in it, and he wrote, "In the woodbox of your memory, consider me a chip. Love, Dad." Isn't that funny? Thank you for bringing up that memory.
You're most welcome. Well, it's very powerful, and people wrote some extremely good, interesting items in there. So and I got contact info,
Yeah.
emails, etc. To keep in contact with people. I don't want to lose these contacts. This I learned from previous. The other thing, the fact that I was flexible, that I was able to monitor the panel discussion, be the moderator, that was also powerful. And then organize that we're going to meet every month now. Every week I send an email. For example, I sent an email saying, "Oh, I'm going to be next month in the third Sunday. I'm going to be in Australia. These are the times that I recommend. Will you be able to make these times? Because it's a different time of the day, even though it's a Sunday." I also sent a picture, and this is something I learned a few years ago. When I opened the session, I asked them to show the photograph and they said, "I don't care what it is. It can be your family, it can be your friends, it can be where you live, but you get to know people. It builds community." So I have them, the first thing I did was have them share a photograph. When I sent a reminder yesterday, because it's been just over a week that, I want to change the dates, I also sent a photograph of where I am right now, overlooking Soup Basin so wonderful. And I had some comment, the fellow from India said, "Oh, that looks beautiful." But they get to know me, they get to know more about me, I get to know more about them. It's a great way to build community, especially when you have people in Japan, in Nepal, India, Portugal. We get to know each other and help them. So that's something that I learned that I'm using. Also, the regular contact. And I learned from this group, I get who's going to do the next presentation. And Ravi put up his hand immediately, say, "I'm working on a project here in Nepal. I want to share it with you next time." So every time. So that's something that I've learned on how to build community. So those are the main lessons I learned. The main thing is I live on a limited budget. $2,000 is not something that I would just normally spend, but this was worth every penny. So there are times, just meet face to face, even if you only meet them once in your career. Now we know each other, and we can do it online from now on if we never meet again. Although I'm planning to go Kathmandu and meet them, but you don't have to, but it is important. That's a lesson if you can. So those were the main things that I learned. The autograph book, now that we have regular contact, and I think we're going to do some great things with youth, especially with some of these people. Like the fellow in Koka, the fellow in India, has already got a youth club. So and what I like about Agora speakers is that they are very community oriented. It's very similar to Toastmasters. A lot of them were ex-Toastmasters. But what they've done is they have a different perspective on their projects and in the community and working with youth. Really, so I found a lot of synergy with them, enormous amount of synergy. So and I only arrived there on the Friday, and I left on the Tuesday. So I was there really 4 or 5 nights. That was it. But it was.
So Fred, you used some, I guess, old technology. Do you foresee people using their smartphones and their modern technology for some of these same purposes?
Well, they're in a lot of third world countries, so they have to be cognizant that, for example, in Malawi, where they are, Agora speakers, no one has internet. They don't even have smartphones very much yet, even though Africa got more smartphones than you would believe. But it varies by country. So they have to be cognizant that not everybody like the fellow in Malawi said, we don't, how am I going to get this material? I said, well, there must be somewhere. There is some internet, but maybe you can go to a library or maybe you can go to a business and then you can print off material. But don't print it all off, he said, because we keep changing it. Just print off what you need for each program as you're going. So we have a forum, and I uploaded an enormous amount of information about youth programs to the forum so that people can share it and download it. So you have to be cognizant. But yes, I mean, I'm talking to people in Nepal, and the fellow in Nepal is a computer guru. I mean, Ravi, that's his job. But he says, for example, he has a technology that is internet in a box. And actually, he said it came from Canada. And it's got about 500 gigabytes of internet, like Wikipedia and all of that is stored. And they take it to a school in a remote area where there is no internet. And with this box, they can all join in and go on Wikipedia and so on. And they're using it. He said it's very inexpensive. I think he said it was $60 for these boxes that he gets from Canada.
Really?
Schools in Nepal so they can have internet. So, well, internet access, like Wikipedia and all that, they can do searches and Google search stuff to a certain extent. And that's his what he does, his computer stuff.
And so by your offering to facilitate monthly meetings on Zoom, that will exclude some people just because of those differences that you just talked about. But as time goes on, those countries will come on board, and there will be people who will be looking for instruction and expertise and ways to practice, etc.
And I have put a lot of material on. For example, if you just want to go to a school for 1 hour or half an hour, here's something you can do, just to introduce it to them. And if they like it, then you say, okay, we could do a program for so many weeks, or we can form a club. All different options, from half an hour up to a club that runs forever. Different options on how you can approach, and that's what I want other people's ideas. So that's why we've got it online on a forum, and that's what I promoted the last Sunday. That I said, here's the material, let's discuss it. And the fellow in India is looking for some of that material, so I'm going to be talking to him before the next sort of offline, and we're going to discuss that.
So you're sharing materials as well, right?
Yes. Some ideas and suggestions, because he said, the youth program, the challenges, the materials aimed at adults. And he said the children are not, it's not appropriate in many cases. So I said, well, I've got some ideas, let's discuss it. The fellow in Portugal has written some material for youth, and that was used in Africa. And we can take that material and see if it'll work in India. So that's the sort of thing we're looking at.
Oh, it must be extremely exciting for you, Fred.
Oh, it's opening up doors around the world.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at the time, and I just want to make sure that the other panel members have a chance to add anything or ask anything they would like. If you would like to stop sharing your screen right now, Fred, and so that we can see each other. Right. There's Vivek. He would like to ask something.
Incidentally, right now I am sharing my. I'm in a shared accommodation, and the host is a Nepalese. He's from Nepal. It's a Nepalese family, in fact, husband, wife, and two youths, actually. Apart from that, I'm thinking of showing you this. This is a Raspberry computer, and my Nepalese host of this house, he and I are thinking of starting something to do with this, maybe in Nepal, maybe in UK. So this is actually part of a programming kit. This is a kit which has a lot of electronic stuff like motors, uh, transistors. I mean the sensors and a lot of stuff. Uh, so it's a lot of electronics, lot of programming. So we are the aim is to target the youth.
Wonderful. Now, that may be something that Ravi would
Mm-hmm.
be interested in, because Ravi is involved with, definitely, that's his business. He runs his own company now. He was
Yeah.
a vice principal in the school system for years, so he has a lot of
Mm.
content. That's why he says I'll have 200 youth clubs in the schools, and
Mm.
also he introduces computers. So maybe there's some synergy there.
Yeah.
It never fails. We do find things, those connections, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so thank you so much, Fred, because I certainly have written down a whole series of ideas that you shared. Because, as we know, those concepts or those lessons learned are applicable no matter where or with whom you or what groups you're working with. So, I'm so happy for those discoveries that you got, and also for the connections that you made. So, thank you so much, Fred. And I see we are just a little over. So unless there are other comments, I shall just bring us to a close with a reminder that it's important to do what you love with passion. So I am going to set up